Welcome to our viewers and listeners wherever you are. Today, the Cricket Show USA welcomes you on T20 Match Day, which is match one of the 5-match series between the West Indies and India, where matches are scheduled to be played in the West Indies and the United States. I'm happy to welcome Coach Jatin Patel and Cricket Show President Leon Francis. I am Dennis Heath. We hope to spend a few minutes with you to review events relating to teams involved. We love cricket. However, we are also lovers of soccer, and we salute the 2023 FIFA Women's Soccer World Cup. You're listening to us on www.blogtalkradio.com/The Cricket Show. And there are times on weekends you can join us by calling 1-515-605-9850. Good evening to you, Coach. Good evening, Leon.
Good evening.
Pleasant good evening to you both, Coach and Dennis. I'm glad to be here once again.
So, West Indies versus India T20 series match 1, 8-3-23. 2 quick wickets in 3 balls with the West Indies score on 30 runs stirred echoes of past West Indies humiliation in white ball cricket. In fact, the ink on the epitaph tablet is still wet from describing the destruction, decimation, and death of West Indies in the ODI versions of white ball cricket less than 4 weeks ago. Team West Indies briefly resurrected and performed with a shot of adrenaline and overpowered India in the second of 3 ODIs by 6 wickets. However, normality and reality came back to haunt the West Indies in their 200 runs destructive loss to India in the 3rd ODI of the series. Well, 2 days later, and no doubt 2 double shots of adrenaline, and Team West Indies struggled to life again in the first of 5 series of T20 matches against India, a team that the West Indies last defeated in a T20 match about 5 years ago. In this T20, West Indies elected to bat first, and with Brandon King's departure on 28, West Indies were 30 for the loss of 2 wickets. The in-form Nicholas Pooran, 41 runs, took charge, and with the assistance of skipper Rovman Powell, 48 runs, West Indies rallied to end with 149 runs for 6 wickets in their 20 overs. When India batted, newcomer Tilak Varma earned his stripes with a high-scoring 39 runs. He was assisted by Suri Yadav, 21, and skipper Pandya, 19. The rest of the Indian batters did not perform. Overall, bowlers and fielders for India performed according to expectations. Surprisingly, for the West Indies, bowlers and fielders were on top of their game, with 2 Indian batters run out and West Indies bowlers came to play. Yes, Rovman Powell had 3 drop chances by Indian fielders, but such is the adrenaline rush. West Indies won by 4 runs. Match 2 is due August the 6th, and where West Indies is concerned, this betting man is keeping my wallet firmly locked. Coach, that's my take on the first match day. Leon, what is your take?
Yes, indeed. Very nice description put together, Dennis. Well to the point. I found that it was a good match, well contested. My first thing I wanted to say is that winning the toss and batting was a good decision. The composition of the side, I approve, and I'm glad to see welcome back Obed McCoy, that left arm, quick. And of course, Hussein was back. And of course, I also welcome back Pooran. And it seems to me that the team was well picked. However, we are not getting enough from Charles and Mayers. They went cheaply, but Brandon King contributed a lovely 28 from 19. And of course, Puran came from his swashbuckling 100 in the MLC to make 41. And Rovman Powell put his hand up despite the chances, which are expected. However, I didn't think that Hetmeyer worked the striking off. He had 12 deliveries and he only made 10, and that included a 4. We needed for him to rotate the strike. He would have gotten a couple more runs if that were so. But all in all, I thought the 145 made was insufficient, but they managed to defend it. And when India batted, I'm glad to see West Indies started their opening with a spinner up front. Alzari Joseph was not on target. He seems to be either stressed or straying the ball down the leg side or feel not well set. But Obel McCoy, he came to the party, and despite the fact that Kohler got the man of the match or player of the match, I felt that it might have gone elsewhere. But the decision is already made, and he has to. He bowled better than I have seen him bowl for a long time, and I got to give him praise for that. It was a good match. West Indies can't rest on their laurels because just like they usually do, win one and forget about winning until the series is over. So now is a good time for them now to cash in on this victory. I suggest, and I heard Denny saying the same thing too, that they drop Charles. But I'm not satisfied with Mayers as well. Mayers, he did a good fielding today, but he has to contribute with a bat too. He doesn't seem to, and I understand that he should have reviewed that decision of LBW Mayers. And when the replay came, they said the ball was beating the leg stump, or he would have been still batting. But a victory for West Indies is a good thing. We all felt that if they played well, we would have been satisfied. But a victory, I'll take it every day, and they have to cash in on this performance. Knowing that they can beat India, they prove that they can beat India, they should be able to, if not win the series, compete and make improvement for when 2024 comes, which will be in their backyard. They should be able to at least make us all proud. So that's my take for now, and I know I'm waiting to hear what the coach has to say.
Well, this is the battle of IPL and CPL stars, let's put this way. Both teams are heavily loaded with the T20 pros. Mm-hmm. And top of that, West Indies has advantage here. At home, CPL experience, and about 11 players has played in IPL. So wow. That's a plus side. We have to take that way. It was expected because West Indies put the heavy weight on paper with their batting lineup. This is the team. If you let them free, they can score 400 in T20. That's for sure. But at the same time, the pitch, it was decision made by both teams very well. West Indies made a decision to bat first. That's a great thing they did. Otherwise, it could be horrible to bat second on this particular wicket. At the same time, India did well to put the 3 spinners in. But unfortunately, they did not come out with the right plan. There was a 100%, I can say, miscalculation on the captain's side in terms of who is bowling what. I think it was disturbed way early when Puran started that momentum carried away from the MLC and started hitting early. He decided to hold the spinners on the back of the wall, and Captain Hardik Pandya went himself to bowl out those 4 overs, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
West Indies was expected to do much better than this. I was expecting at least 250 runs on the board with the batting lineups they have. But then credit goes to the Indian bowlers who at least contained them. Everyone thinks, and I always say to West Indies all the time, you cannot win games because hitting boundaries. It happened so many times. West Indies can hit more sixes and fours than any other team out there in the world, but they are still on the losing side. And it could have been same story today. Absolutely. This is the version. West Indies is highly potential to compete anybody on any given day. All it takes is a 1 or 2 batter need to settle down, build the partnership, and did the scoring. So that was done by today. And India paid the price for those 3 drop catches. And top of that, if you do it very well, the comparison, West Indies was without boundary in last 4 overs, not a single boundary after 16 overs. Even though India did manage the same number of sixes and fours, but they lose by the 4 runs. So if you sum up with this whole thing is, I will say India lost it because of the more dot balls they played. That's one drawback on their side, beside that couple of drop catches. And top of that, I will say, label it, those wides cost them. They had more than half dozen wides in this bowling. And when you bowl a wide, it's not just one wide. You're giving one extra run. An extra ball is another opportunity to score. So end of the day, when you lose with the single digit, you have to think about much deeper, because little thing goes can hurt you. Even the team can lost by a single run. That's how the cricket is. Absolutely, this will be the exciting series as expected. CPL is around the corner. I believe it's starting with 16 after a couple of days after this series over with the August 13th. So this is the good part for the lot of West Indies players to pick up the momentum they need before they go into the CPL. India doing exactly what they have the agenda on this particular series is not about winning. It doesn't look to me, because India is a more concerned about the upcoming World Cup, keeping some of the key players' safety as well as rest. And that is the reason most of the front line, I call it first choice players, are not there. No Jadeja, no Ashwin, no Rahul Sharma. There is no Virat Kohli, no KR Rahul. So if you look at it, everybody like Bumrah, Siraj, Sami, no one in this. So this is like you can count it India B team, which is okay. Nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, they're also running the Ireland series immediately after that. I believe there is one more series to go with the South Africa before they face the World Cup. So they are in a different situation to manage their workload as well as giving the rest in considering future. West Indies has nothing to do besides this T20. And I believe West Indies can win this 5 T20 series for sure, because they have upper hand in it. And top of that, they are dealing with a lot of young talent India has, or inexperienced squad they have in this situation. Top of that, they are highly potential to score heavy runs, at least 200 per any given day. They have not started keeping that one to that level yet. If they play well, they can do it. Absolutely. The positive side is the fielding as well as the bowling today. Those 2 runouts made the huge difference. And top of that, I will say Safford, McCoy, and the holder all bowl well. Even they had just one spinner, they used it at the right time, I would say. They took that first wicket at the right moment. Bringing spinner later after the power play may not have been that effective what this first wicket has done very early in very first over, I would say. So that's like a lot of things going on. So I'm keeping hope that West Indies keep up. But there is a dilemma on the West Indies side too. They have 4 people who can open, 3 people can go one down. So there is like a order sake of things. And because of that, I can see the performance is little bit here and there, especially for Johnson Charles. I will say he's supposed to be in the top. He's supposed to be at the opening, not at one down. Same thing, Puran. No need to come bringing back at later. He can be a good if he comes at one down. By looking at the Myers and Kings at front today, left and right combination, they could have maintained the same strategy because they do have Myers, Hetmeyer, and Puran, all 3 left-handers at the top. And at the same time, you have Charles, King, and Roman Powell, all are right-handed batsmen. So you have the 3 right-handed, 3 left-handed batters, and you could have utilized very well. Absolutely, they're going to look for these 2 spinners. And looking at today's situation, I will say India better off from orthodox or finger spinners. Let it go, wrist spinners, because that is what West Indies is having trouble. Kuldeep and Chahal both give enough headache today. Unfortunately, Chahal did not finish the overs today. Akshar Patel was used for just 1 over. Doesn't make sense. So it's a better top to have let it go, Akshar Patel. Even I'm Patel, let's say. I care about team. Why don't we bring somebody who can be a batting all-rounder? Batting all-rounder can bat. If needed, can throw down few overs. Because when you have a team in good strength, we know the West Indies weakness. And now they are playing in Guyana next 2 games. And after that, 2 games in US is a more of Indian fans than you expect Indies fans. So let's hope the exciting things coming. But definitely to see that West Indies did turn around really well. And this is what every fan like to have it. West Indies must win this series.
Well, I'm not.
Dennis?
I like your optimism, Coach. You know, you've said some very positive things about the West Indies, but you know, as I said in my closing, I've seen the West Indies over the years perform, and they raise you up on one day, and the same team on the next day perform like a little league team. And so I don't mind betting, but this time around, I am certainly not. I'm keeping my money in my pocket this time around because I'm not betting that West Indies will take 2 out of the 5 tests. T20 matches.
5
They
matches.
will take 2. They will take 2 for sure. I'm a bit for even 3rd one, believe it or not. The reason for that, I can tell you. You have 6 frontline batsmen. If any batsman got a good day to go ahead for batting like 8 overs, game is yours. T20 can be anyone's game, believe it or not. It's nothing to do with your game plan, has nothing to do with your game tactics, experience, and expertise. All about is, on a given day, luck need to be in your favor. And if you can be at the crease for, let's say, I will say 8 overs, which is the 40% of the total overs time, if you are at the crease, and if you think every time you swing your bat going for runs, guess what? You are the man of match for the day. You got the game. And in that sense, I can tell you, when you compare with current India lineup, West Indies has 8 potential players who can win the game on their own, where India has just 6. So there is a little bit advantage there. Top of that, India 6. I really do not consider equivalent to West Indies 6, because West Indies 6 players can score 20 to 30 runs per over if needed, where India barely had front 4 who can come out with the 20 runs, not others. So there's a lot of plus and minuses, but believe it or not, in Guyana, things will change. It will be really serious to see how the bowling and fielding comes up, because that will be the key difference maker in this game. Absolutely, we have seen it. This white ball playing at night is a different business. Now, when you play in the morning time, in afternoon, it should be different. So in Guyana, believe it or not, winning the toss, batting first, will go ahead. Believe it or not, whichever team is theirs. And whoever is batting second will be facing the same situation. Ball is coming either low or some low bounce, and you need the extra time to adjust yourself. And that will be the critical. That is what happened in first only T20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, do you foresee, gentlemen, any changes to the West Indies side? And I noticed that the West Indies have only picked one spinner in Okay. Okay, we have Shia Hope, O'Shane Thomas, Odin Smith, and Ralston Chase.
Well,
I
it will
thought
be depend on the wicket, I will say. When the Guyana, they learn little bit thing here. It's definitely slow bowlers and the spinners. That is what this first T20 was. And now I'm expecting the very similar track in Guyana, just like Trinidad, because the both country has a very similar type of atmosphere and weather conditions down there with some rain and cloudy situation. Both are very close to the ocean kind of situation. So I'm expecting not a fast track, but it will be the slow. And now the nowadays what we looking at in a T20 world is a smart bowlers. We call it the street smart bowler. It's not about bowling fast. It's not about bowling fixed. It's not about bringing variation. If you can manage slower deliveries accurately on spot, you can trouble the batsman. And that is what's going to happen in the next thing too. It's not about fast bowlers. They'll be going with some medium pacers and slow bowlers. I do not expect any change. If I had to go for the change, it's maybe one of the batsmen. You can drop one batsman and bring somebody, as I said, the batting all-rounder. And you say, Sai Hope, who can bowl, who can keep. You don't need the keeper. You already have 3 keepers in this West Indies team right now, right? You don't need the keeper. But the batting all-rounder can be quick if somebody can spin. And that may be the decision. Other than that, I don't expect any change in this West Indies team.
You say they may go for Chase?
For my
That's
part,
Probably.
For my part,
But then off spinner will be the little bit tricky. Believe it or not, right arm off spin is not the favorite spot for in a T20. So it's like a spinners is always top priority. West Indies don't have it. And then he can bring this a left arm spinner. They have a couple of them. They can try.
Well, Karaya is a wrist spinner.
Yeah, but the point is though, he's not in the squad.
Not in a T20.
But from my point of view, if I was going to make change, I would tend to drop Charles in favor of Shai Hope.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. But
and that's not to reflect on Charles's performance, but I think we need to try someone who is a little bit more stable as an opener.
And one who will rotate the strike too.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yes.
The other thing I'm thinking about is, I'm conflicted because I think Joseph appears to be somewhat overbold these days. He may be due for a rest. And, I'm conflicted because I know that he's a good bowler to have in your side every time, if only for the thought of the batters. But I might be tempted to give him a rest, because of late he's been taking a lot more stick than I would anticipate that he would take. So I'd be tempted to give him a rest and maybe bring in O'Shane Thomas and drop Johnson Charles. And that would be the 2 changes that I would contemplate. One, most definitely Charles for Hope, and Joseph, I'm in 2 minds, but it's one worth discussing.
Yeah, that's I would have thought they had a couple more spinners that they should have included in the squad. The guy from Guyana, the youngster, but he's leggy too, right?
Was that Moti?
Moti,
He's
yes.
not in
I
ODI
like.
T20 squad, right? He's not in T20 squad.
He's not in the squad. I said that I would have hoped that they would have included him in the squad, but they just ignored him. And this is a young man, you know. But anyway, there is. I don't see the reason for them to have Reefer still in the squad. He's traveling with his squad. So, but
I will if I have to make change, I will drop one batsman in the next game and bring the batting all-rounder who can bowl spin. That's the first choice, okay? And immediately after that, doesn't matter what is the outcome or result is, the third T20 in Guyana, the last one in West Indies, before we switch to the US side, I will rest at least one of the quick bowlers, because when you come to the Florida, you are looking at the humid conditions and you are playing in afternoon. So it should be the really tricky for the quick bowlers. So one of the bowlers need to be rested there if you have to do well in Florida. That's how it is. It's like it will be the very important thing to see as a coach's side and what that strategies are for the remainder of the series. This one game is definitely plus to have the psychology on the team side to go with the more confidence in next game rather than figure out puzzle. There's a under 150 score and winning it. It gives a little bit barrier or a breather to the ballers like, hey, we can do it. It's not about the score. We can challenge any score they can put on. And that is what they need to keep momentum and stick with it and fight for it.
As far as India are concerned at this point, would you consider replacing someone for Jaiswal?
They will make change, probably two change, believe it or not. One spinner will go, most likely the Patel, and at the same time there will be another one change for somebody, because I think India's situation or their agenda is a completely different in this series. It's not about winning. They are trying to see the different player with the different role to see how they can accomplish the future, the empty spots they have because T20 World Cup is a match which is coming in West Indies and India. Remember that. So it makes more sense to give each and every one on roster to have at least one or two games in Caribbean, 100%, believe it or not. They will rotate to make sure that everyone has opportunity to see how they deal with it in Caribbean conditions. That's for sure. And then when it comes to the US, there will be changes. So India, I don't think they can go this entire series with like no change for back-to-back games. No, it's not possible. They will keep changing every game. That's what their technique is right now.
Well, Coach, what did you think of the two newly the two young players who were included in the squad? Mukesh Kumar and, of course, Tilak Varma.
Well, look at the performance. Both did it well. And this is the beauty India carry. India don't have just 11 players. I can say they have 111 players in that circuit. You bring anyone, they all are desperately looking for the opportunity. And once it is, look at their desire to prove it, what they're worth it. They are hungry for the chances. Look at Mukesh Kumar. Yes. He is not even a slog over baller. If you look at it and if you listen to the commentator, they'll tell you in IPL, he is not the guy who can bowl 18 or 20 over. He did it. He did it. And believe it or not, last over, almost every ball was a single. Last 2 overs, every ball was single except one where they scored double, something like that, right? Even if you look at it, he tried to bowl so many Yorkers, did not go well perfectly, but we have to understand he is inexperienced to this part of the world, basically. This is his first assignment away from home. That's another one. So it takes a lot for when you go away from home and do something, and it's under pressure. And believe it or not, looking at the performance, I doubted any coach can drop him for the next game. No way.
No.
He deserves it. Same thing with Tilak Varma. Don't expect him as a new kid. Now, look at that. He took a couple of catches, right? He did fielding well, and he scored the highest run for the team. This
39.
was the
39.
first T20. So it's like India has this huge advantage. I call it the plus bucket size, where they have plenty of players in the pool because of the IPL situation who can turn on their switch immediately when they go to the international. The reason for that, the IPL provides more competitive environment than you play against team, because IPL has so many foreign stars playing with them, against them. And that is the beauty. They are well trained, good to go, and we can see the difference. First game, first ball, they are not hesitant. Look at that. Another beauty, I believe about 6 Mumbai Indian players. I was chatting with somebody later evening. They told me 6 Mumbai Indian players in this ODI squad right now, means a T20 squad. And there was another thing came out. It's just like maybe coincidence, but a lot of Mumbai Indian players, when they debut in a T20, first ball of their career goes for 6. It's very hard to believe, very hard to believe, but have plenty of them who started that career with those 6. And that tells you what confidence they bring into the team. It's not about first ball. They're good to go.
That was a really good pickup from Varma off Joseph for that 6.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous shot because
but not only one, it's 2 in a row.
Well, yes. He batted with a lot of confidence, and it's interesting to watch him develop and grow as far as T20 cricket is concerned. IPL is looking 2 more youngsters in the market for IPL.
I wouldn't like that to be
I will
selector.
not be surprised. I will write it off. Yashasvi Jaiswal playing both games in Florida, believe it or not.
You think they'll both play in Florida?
Jaiswal will be playing in Florida, believe it or not. Mark it down. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Because he is coming for humid weather in Mumbai, believe it or not. He grown up in Mumbai, which is the very similar weather down south in Miami area, believe it or not. So he's like accustomed with that weather conditions and good to go.
All right.
Okay,
coach.
Other than that, one other point I just slipped me there. Okay. Well, I think that's about all that I have. I had one other point, but it's gone from me. I should have written it down.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so a good match in all, it's a good, tightly contested. West Indies having gotten the break of those a couple of drop chances as well. So that Rovman could at least, he looks confident as a captain, and I don't think he should be involved in the ODI at this point. Give room for somebody else and just concentrate on the T20 and let him be the leader of that. He looks settled as a player and as a captain. So I'm happy the way he rotates his bowlers today. And he really, really rotated them well when they needed. Even though Alzari was getting some sticks, he brought him back at the right time when they lost a wicket. And Holder, Oko. The 2 things that I want to say, Holder was, perhaps this was the big point why they had chosen him as a player of the match. When he dismissed the guy, the captain. Pandya with a beauty, man.
Yes, it was.
That was the turning point, I think, at that end, because At that stage, India was right in the chase. And then he came back later on to dismiss another player down too, at the end to get a couple wickets when they were threatening to overtake the West Indies score. But all in all, it was a good match. And like I said before, West Indies has a tendency to start and then forget about the rest of the tournament. They win one and they're satisfied. No, they should be hungry. And at least if they don't win, we see a fight in them. Because we saw one today and they can duplicate it. They have 4 more to go. And that's what matters. If you're going to win a series, you haven't done so for a long time, let this one happen. And you are at home at that. They get the support. But when I know for a fact when they come to Fort Lauderdale, it's going to be a more Indian than West Indian. Because the West Indian fans don't like to show up when we need them for the support. So that's my take. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you. Thank you, Leon. And we look forward to the next in the series, which will be on August the 6th, I believe. And we hope to be back here with our fireside chat on events surrounding the second day match. That's it for tonight. Remember to join us on the Cricket Show at www.blogtalkradio.com/The Cricket Show, or call us to join in at 1-515-605-9850. That's it from us for tonight, and we bid you